Texas basketball has secured a winning season once again, but just how significant is it this season? And the NBA has a hotly contested Rookie of the Year race. We'll find out who should take home the hardware this year. All this and more on College Crossfire.
I guess we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, right? And then one of the Texas team was going to lose.
Cannon. I don't like the cannon.
Oh, wait, you don't like this guy?
All right, I'm done. This is all chaos.
Welcome into College Crossfire. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm your host, Jonathan Polasic. Let's go ahead and meet our panelists for tonight. Up first, we've got Eric Goodman. Eric, how you doing tonight? How you feeling?
I'm feeling excellent. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate
Let's
that. Up next, we have Marcus Risen. How are you feeling about tonight?
Pretty good, first time on, so going up against two good competitors. So
It's your first time on, but I think you're going to do pretty well. Even though, like you said, it is your first time. But
yeah, got the men in black over
Rookie
here.
mistake with the black,
Men in black.
background. I did it my first time too.
It happens. It happens. Don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
last but certainly not least, we've got Turner Barnes. Turner, how you feeling tonight?
I feel good. I got my blue shoes on. Got the debate juices flowing just a minute ago on Facebook. I'm ready to go.
Ready to go. So am I. Glad to have you all on tonight. Let's just jump on it. Texas basketball has been playing some pretty good basketball in the NIT's first couple of rounds. Texas first beat the South Dakota State Jackrabbits 79-73 before taking down Xavier 78-76 in overtime. With their hot play of late, this brings us to an interesting question. Was Texas snubbed from the NCAA tournament? Let's start with Eric.
No, not one bit. I mean, the case was that some of these high metrics that college basketball is now using, some of these advanced metrics to kind of rate your season, that because Texas played a lot of good competition and the Big 12 was competitive, they played teams like North Carolina and Purdue early on, that they had a competitive schedule, and so some people were forgiving them for the 16 or 19 to 19, 16 to 16 year, but I was not shown enough, and what we weren't talking about is Texas a tournament team. We were talking about should Shaka Smart come back next year, and we can have that discussion. We might. The NIT, it's nice to see that Texas is ending the year off on some momentum. It'd be cool for the fan base to have a weekend in Madison Square Garden. And, if you're going to be in the NIT, sure, win it. I mean, it gives you a little bit of momentum going ahead to next year. But all in all, I mean, this was not a team that would have competed in the NCAA tournament. It wasn't a team that deserved to qualify for it, so they're right where they should be.
Definitely a different level of competition in the NIT versus the NCAA tournament. Marcus, what do you think?
I agree with Eric. I don't believe they should have made a tournament. A 500 record shouldn't warrant a tournament bid, especially a team such like high aspirations as Texas had and a team so big as Texas. And I don't think they should have made it. Also, Jackson Hayes played a really great role in his year, but I don't know. I don't think they should have made it just because,
Yeah, they just like you said, it's just a tough schedule this year. It just didn't really give them the opportunity to win as many games as they probably could have with the talent on this team. Turner?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm going to say they did get, not snubbed, like a big snub, but maybe a little bit. They were good. They showed throughout the season a few times that they were a good enough, talented enough team to make the tournament. But we have to remember, Snoop Roach, very important piece of this team, he was out for the home stretch for the very last bit of the season where Texas was still on the bubble. He's on the team. You lose to Oklahoma by, 1 or 2? You got to think a few of those games would have went the other way. Texas would have had a solid resume with wins at North Carolina, a really close game against Michigan State. So I think this team, and they're showing now that they're a solid team whenever they play well, but they're a very not good team when they don't play well. But just to play devil's advocate here, I think they're definitely talented enough to deserve a spot, especially the way we've seen the tournament go. The tournament's been very chalk, not a good tournament at all. Yeah. They could be a team that would make a big upset.
Texas definitely could, but like you said, when they play well, they play really well, but when they don't, it's really, really bad.
And
they lost to Radford.
Yeah,
they beat North Carolina,
they did.
And then you lose to Radford. I mean, that's not a sign of a great team.
They lost to Radford in November. They lost to TCU last game of the regular season at home by a lot, by over 20 points.
Yeah.
And those are the games. It's literally in the month of March that you have to win to remind people that you're still a relevant team and a competitive team.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, did you win the games that you were supposed to win?
and they
Did you
didn't.
win some of the games that maybe weren't supposed to go your way? They did some of that, but they didn't win all the games that they were supposed to win, and they were left with a 500 record. So, Eric, you're getting 3 points. Marcus and Turner each with 2. So whether or not you believe that Texas was snubbed, one thing is for sure. They are playing good basketball right now. So what's your overall impression of the team's success in the NIT? And now y'all can just jump in at any time.
I mean, like I just talked about, I think you could expect them to play like a good team against lesser teams. I mean, they played South Dakota State and Xavier, who are not by any means blue bloods. And so they have the talent on the team to beat up on teams that like this. Teams like Colorado, who they're destroying at halftime last time we got a score update. And so whenever they're playing together, and Snoop Roach, he's been playing, that he gives a boost to the team, and especially on the scoring end. And even though Hayes is out, Jericho Sims has made a lot of really crucial plays down the stretch, like in the Xavier game. And he's played really well so far.
Yeah, he's playing like many thought he would play.
Exactly. We thought he
before
was going
the
to be
season
good.
started. Eric, Marcus.
I'm not that impressed with how UT is playing, just because they should be in the tournament right now. Like, there's no way this team should have made the NIT. They should have been good enough to make the tournament. So the fact that they didn't make it just makes it like, why are we even here? So there's that. And then like they barely beat the teams they played. North Dakota State, they barely beat. Like they were up 19-0 at the end of the. Like they started the game 19-0 and they gave up the lead and made it way too close at the end. And then they barely beat Xavier with that game-saving block.
Went to overtime.
Yeah, went to overtime. So yeah, I'm just not impressed just because we shouldn't be in NIT. They should be in the real tournament and trying to beat Duke.
But I mean, the way that the Texas has played, maybe they in the NIT, maybe they shouldn't.
Not buying that, but for the same reason that Marcus said he's not impressed, I actually am impressed with Texas playing in this NIT tournament, because this was a team that you could have forgiven them for being completely mentally checked out of the season by now.
Yeah.
And you know, the MO for this team was you couldn't win close games. And so all of a sudden, maybe the pressure, like the big picture pressure, is off. Maybe they're playing a bit more free now, you know, because they know, you know, where their season is not. You can't go any further. So I am impressed that they have the mental toughness. Maybe that's a credit to Shaka Smart that he finally got his guys to believe in themselves in late game situations.
And if he can translate that into, if he returns for next season, maybe Texas can really do something next year. So Eric, you're getting another 2 points. Marcus 1, Turner 2. So we talked a little bit about Jackson Hayes. So how would you say that his absence is affecting the team right now as they go on in the NIT?
Well, it's probably beneficial for the team if you look long term, honestly, because Jackson Hayes is not going to come back for a sophomore season. No reason why he would or should, because he's going to be a top NBA pick. He's going to be a lottery pick, no doubt. So, you know, give guys like Courtney Ramey. Obviously, they don't play anywhere close to the same position, but you know, have Courtney Ramey get used to, you know, playing with guys like Matt Coleman and Jericho Sims. And for Jericho Sims specifically, I think that's the biggest thing, is that he's actually starting to play good basketball, the kind that he should have been playing all season, his sophomore season. So this hopefully springboards him towards better basketball next season.
Definitely. We can see some of the improvement right now. They got to carry it to next year, though.
Obviously, Jackson Hayes was a very big part of our team. So, like, yeah, it's kind of bad that he's gone, but, like, it is opening opportunities for Jericho Sims, who's been playing pretty solid in his place. He did have that game-saving block. I could give him that. But still, it would be nice to have Jackson Hayes in there. You know, he's one of the feel-good stories of the team, one of the few good stories. So it would just be nice to have him out there. Although Jericho's been playing well, I would still rather have, like, the lottery potential of Jackson Hayes out there. But, yeah, Jericho, he's been playing pretty well, but, yeah.
Yeah, Jackson could just really take this team to another level if he's out there and healthy, and with the way that the rest of the team is playing right now. Turner?
Yeah, I mean, the question is, how is his absence affecting their play now? You kind of expect, you always want your best player on the floor, but with his absence, it seems like this Texas team has kind of banded together and stepped up to the occasion. And I know the stakes aren't super high as the NIT tournament, but you see people who haven't been making plays all season, like Sims, and they're making those plays during this tournament. And so his absence isn't a great thing, but it's affecting the team, as in they're having to band together and make the plays that he would be making themselves.
Yeah, Texas is learning how to play without this high-quality star player that they've been built around this entire season. So, Eric, you're getting 2, Marcus and Turner, you're each getting 3. So, really quickly, Texas, last we heard, was up 44-19 over Colorado at halftime. So, it's kind of expected that Texas should move on, but just how far do you think that Texas is going to move on in the NIT?
So we'll be playing TCU next round if they do win. And they lost to TCU twice already in the season. They lost by 20 plus, and then they lost by like 9, the game I went to. So like we just hadn't shown the ability to beat this TCU team. So I really don't think that like just based on prior like occurrences, I don't think they can beat the Horned Frogs for whatever reason. So yeah.
I'm gonna go out and say they're gonna beat Colorado tonight. And
Ooh,
you're
wow,
right.
Bold.
Whoa, watch out, guys.
30
Hey,
point lead.
I don't know.
Heating up in
Cool
here.
it,
cool it.
Heating up
I
in
don't know
here.
that's gonna happen.
But I think both times that Texas lost to TCU over the course of the regular season, it was like, holy cow, I can't believe they lost to TCU. They shouldn't have lost to TCU. And so with the way the team is playing right now and the way that they've like stepped up for Shaka Smart, I don't know if they're like trying to play for him more because they think he might be gone. But this team is playing for Shaka, and they're playing together, and they're playing really good basketball. So I think they beat TCU. I think they go to the championship at Madison Square Garden and take down the Wichita State Shockers, win the NIT trophy, and Shaka
Raise
Smart has
the
locked
banners.
himself back into Texas
Raise
basketball
the
coach.
banner
Would-
at
would
the
love to
Irwin
see
Center,
that.
Eric.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad these guys are mentioning other teams in the NIT because I have not watched it at all.
I don't blame
doesn't
you.
matter
I
that Texas,
don't blame
doesn't
you.
matter who's in. I'm not watching the NIT. But TCU is it'll be an interesting game. They're the ones who actually got snubbed, and so
Right.
we'll see what their mental, where they're at, because they might be the ones checked out of the season. Obviously, if they've made it, to this point, they're still playing good basketball. But I think Texas I would give Texas a good chance in a three-peat. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in one season.
Yeah, I have to kind of agree with you there, Eric. So I think it's not easy to beat any team, any good team, which Texas has shown that they can be 3 times in one season. I don't think that's going to happen once Texas moves on against Colorado. So, Eric, you're getting 2, Marcus and Turner, you're each getting 1. That's it for now. When we return, we're moving over to the women's side of basketball, as well as figuring out who will make it to this year's Fall Classic. Stick around. Crossfire, welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's remind everybody of the score. We've got Eric with 9, Marcus with 7, and Turner with 8, so it's still anybody's game. Texas women's basketball had a rough year compared to the last 4 under Karen Aston. First, they have to replace megastars Brooke McCarty and Ariel Atkins, and then they lose LaShawn Higgs to an ACL injury early in the year. All of that led to a 23-10 record and a first-round exit in the NCAA tournament. It's a far cry from making it to at least the Sweet 16 the last 4 years. So do you believe that this team fell short of expectations based on all the circumstances surrounding the team this year? Let's start with Eric.
Yeah, 100% they fell short. You can't have a first-round exit if you value yourself as one of the elite schools in a given sport. I think Karen Aston values her program as an elite program in women's basketball. And if that's the case, sure, I mean, every team's going to have injuries. That's sports. I mean, LaShawn Higgs was your most senior player. If there was one player you didn't want to lose, it was her. But then again, you lost her at the beginning of the season, and so you had plenty of time to get young players, Destiny Littleton, Chastity Patterson, freshman Charlie Cole. These are women who were in top 10 recruits. Not top 10, not like, top 10 in the state of Texas, top 10 in the country. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if they haven't been performing in practice or if Karen Aston just doesn't trust them yet, but you need to be playing your top recruits, or else why bring them on campus in the first place?
Yeah, you've got some of the best players in the country, so the expectation is that you're going to play them because they can make an impact, and Karen Aston hasn't been doing that as much this year.
And by the way, her seat is officially hot.
Officially
hot.
All right, we got a hot take. I like it. Marcus, what do you think?
So obviously it was a big disappointment. They lost to a 10th seed being a 7th seed. So anytime you lose to a seed that's under you, like obviously it comes with disappointments. Also, they came into the season with Elite 8, Final 4 aspirations, making the Sweet 16 the past 4 years. So obviously not getting past that point is a really big disappointment, and losing in the first round is just very disappointing. So I got to go with disappointing.
Honestly, it's kind of unacceptable for
Yes.
Texas to be losing in the first round
Definitely.
with all of the talent that they've had
Yeah.
on the team. Not this year. I mean, you look at some of the players who have performed this year, and they've been really, really good. And to see them make the tournament as, 1, a 7 seed, and then 2, to lose in the first round, that's just not the Texas standard for women's basketball. Turner?
Yeah, I mean, I understand on paper it's a disappointing season. I think the floor, a bad floor for a Karen Aston team is the second round, but they get bounced in the first round. But you gotta take into the context of the whole situation. People already expected this to be a lull in a year because you lost people like McCarty and Atkins, and then you lose, like you said, the most senior player, LaShawn Higgs. And if Joyner Holmes is like your top player, that's not the best situation to be in. She's a great player, and with the top 10 recruits that you were talking about, women's college basketball is not men's college basketball. You don't have people come in freshman year and one and done kind of talents where they come in and make an instant impact and then leave. Women's college basketball players develop.
Joyner Holmes did, and then has been all downhill from there.
No, you're right, but I'm saying consistently. Like, whenever you have top 10 recruits, you don't get players like that all the time. That's what I'm saying. People develop, people stay 4 years at programs because it takes longer to develop and takes longer to
But Texas has been
make an
getting those
impact.
top 10 players over the last few years, and you think it would help that they would perform better this year. So I think it is a huge disappointment. So Eric and Marcus, you're both getting a point to start us off.
One last
Go
thing,
ahead.
Dan's going to kill me on this, but we're going to go short. They can't beat anyone better than them. My
That's
entire
true.
time here
That
at
is
Texas,
true.
University
When have they beaten
women's
Baylor?
basketball has never beaten Baylor.
true.
They've-
UConn, South
Mississippi
Carolina.
State, South Carolina, any of these programs that actually compete for championships,
We'll be
Texas
short on
can't
the next
compete with
question.
them.
It's just, Texas hasn't been able to do that in my time this year. So the NBA regular season is getting ready to wind down as we move into April in the next few days. And that means it's almost time to vote on the game's biggest awards. Today, we'll be looking at the Rookie of the Year award. While Luka Doncic looked like he was going to run away with the award from the beginning of the season, Trae Young and others have really stepped up to make this a competitive race. Young has been an absolute monster since the All-Star break and has a decent shot to win it this year. So who, in your mind, deserves Rookie of the Year? Let's start with Marcus.
So obviously it's going to be Luka Doncic. I mean, I don't think there should be any debate. Like, this man is averaging 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Those are godly numbers for an NBA player, and he's a rookie. He literally just turned 20. That's my age. Like he's over there like scoring 21 points a game like against NBA talent is crazy. Although Trae Young has like lowered the gap, increased the gap, Luka's played well the entire season. Trae Young, he's just lighted it up.
Post All-Star break.
Yeah, post All-Star break. He's averaging like 25 points a game. But before that, he was shooting awfully from the field. So I gotta give it to Luka, or as I like to call him, Luka Skywalker. Like, I gotta give it to Luka.
I like the nickname. I like
Yeah.
the nickname. Turner was shaking his head the entire time the question was being read, so take it away.
Man, hallelujah, hallelujah. This man is the Rookie of the Year. He will be the if it was up to me, he would be the 6th unanimous Rookie of the Year ever, the 6th foreign-born Rookie of the Year ever. This guy does it in the clutch. He went on an 11-0 run against the Rockets by himself.
Oh, man.
He does it with
Easy there.
style. This guy is by far the Rookie of the Year. Trae Young's played well, yeah. Luka Doncic yesterday or 2 days ago got his 7th triple-double of the season, tying somebody you might have heard of, Magic Johnson, for triple-doubles in a rookie season. This guy is ridiculous. Not even a question.
Playing completely out of his mind the entire year. Eric, what do you think?
I agree with these guys.
That's it?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
That's about how the that's about how the voting's gonna go in the Rookie
Honestly,
of the
I
Year.
agree with all of y'all, but
Absolutely.
I'm most impressed with Turner's just
Emotion.
yeah, exactly, emotion that he poured out talking about Luka. So Turner, you're getting the point. Moving on. Baseball is officially back with the Mariners and the A's opening up play in Tokyo a week ago. The Red Sox are your defending world champions, but they have several teams vying for their title this year. The Yankees, with their powerful offense, look to take back the division from the Sox. The Astros have perhaps the best rotation in baseball once again. The Dodgers are getting Corey Seager back. And the Phillies, they added a pretty good ball player in Bryce Harper this offseason. So all in all, this season looks to be as competitive as ever. So it's prediction time. Who do y'all have winning the World Series this year? Let's start with Turner.
You know, I think it's a little too early for the Phillies. I think I would say the Dodgers, but no. And this pains me to say it.
No,
It's gonna hurt me to say it, but I think the Houston Astros are gonna win their 2nd World Series. You got Justin Verlander, who's a monster. Altuve, who I love Altuve. I'm not a Houston
Who
fan
cannot
at all.
love Altuve?
I love
Right?
Altuve.
Altuve.
Springer, Correa, great team. They're gonna win. They're gonna win it.
I think
It pains me. It's hurting as it coming out, but I think they're gonna win it.
I think it's possible. It's just a matter of health, and
Yeah.
Correa is already questionable for opening day, and that's been
Yeah,
a
that's not
problem
great.
the past few years. Eric,
So first of all, I just thought it was a little. So I was in spring training this past weekend, watching my Mets down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Watching a spring training game, and the season had already regular season games had already happened. I thought that was
yeah,
that
it's
was,
weird,
that was
a little
ridiculous.
weird, but I mean,
Anyway, my answer is going to be the Mets' rival, the Washington Nationals. And
Okay.
people are saying they
Interesting.
lost Bryce Harper. That might actually help them expand their offense a bit more. They're not relying. It's not all going to be centered on one guy. You've got Juan Soto. People think, very few people even aware of him yet because he just came on as a rookie midway through last
he
season.
could prove to be better than
He
Harper.
could be an MVP candidate this year, and you still have Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and now Patrick Corbin. That's three elite guys that no team can match at the top of the rotation. So I think watch out for the Nationals.
Yeah, definitely a team not a lot of people are talking about because, like you said, they lost Harper. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Kind of a weaker division, but it should be
A weaker division? What are you talking
little
about?
bit.
No,
A
the
little bit.
NL East is the strongest division in baseball. You got
You can
four
see-
teams. Four teams can
You gotta
reasonably make the World Series in that division.
You got to see how the teams are going to mesh and how. I mean, you got to make sure there's not one-hit wonders for teams. Okay, Marcus.
Wow, who would have thought losing Bryce Harper would make you a title contender? But I gotta go with the Houston Astros. They have one of the best pitching rotations with Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, two of the best pitchers in the league. Then you have our amazing batting order with George Springer, World Series MVP, Jose Altuve, regular season MVP, Alex Bregman, top 5 in MVP voting last year, and Carlos Correa, who's been injured, but he should be able to do well. And with role players like Jake Marisnick and Josh Reddick. You gotta go to Astros. I mean, there's teams, but I'm biased. I gotta go Astros.
Little biased, but I mean, you're not that far-fetched. It's not that far-fetched because the Astros are a very, very loaded team. I mean, like you said, they've got all of these great young players, with the exception of Justin Verlander. But I mean, until he falls off a cliff, I don't see anything happening to him. So honestly, I think it's going to be.
Oh yeah, okay, Jonathan.
Hey,
The
I didn't say
Astros are going to win the
anything. I
World
didn't say
Series.
anything. So
Surprise.
Marcus and Turner, you're both getting the point. I think it's going to be the Astros.
Yeah.
Great debate, guys. That's it for now. We've got rapid fire up next. Stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for rapid fire, but let's go ahead and remind everybody of the score. We got Eric with 10, Marcus with 9, and Turner with 10. So it's still anyone's game because in rapid fire, each question is worth 2 points, and you can jump in at any time. So the first question we have, LeBron James will not be playing in the postseason for the first time since 2005. The Los Angeles Lakers were officially eliminated by the Brooklyn Nets a few days ago. Now, 2005 was a long time ago. I was only 8 years old. Will Smith and Kevin James starred in the iconic movie Hitch.
Yes.
And I mean, who could ever forget
You don't need no
Kevin
pizza?
James's dance moves?
You
And
don't need
American
no pizza?
Idol was the top TV show. But some other things happened in 2005 as well. So what's going to happen here is that I'm going to start with Eric. I'm going to give you a list of 3 items, and you're going to have to tell me which of those 3 happened in 2005, and then we'll move on with a second set for Marcus and then for Turner as well. So,
Okay.
Eric, what happened in 2005? The MLB announced that the Montreal Expos were moving to DC. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith was released, or C, Google bought YouTube.
Okay. I have no idea about the Google question.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Revenge of the Sith was 2006, so I'm going to go with the Expos.
It was actually Star Wars.
Oh!
Star Wars Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005.
I would have gotten that one if I had that one, man.
It hurts. It
I would
hurts.
have gotten that one.
But,
I'm Star
okay.
Wars fan all the way.
Moving on, we've got another set of 3 items for you, Marcus. So, the rover Spirit and Opportunity landed on Mars. The crocodile hunter Steve Irwin was killed by a stingray. Or C, Hurricane Katrina flooded New Orleans. What happened in 2005?
Well, I have no idea about the first 2, and I'm leaning towards C. I really wish I got that question before because I'm like a diehard Star Wars fan, and I knew that by heart. So I'm gonna say C.
It was Hurricane
Yeah.
Katrina. So,
Yeah,
Marcus, you're getting 2 points.
I know. I feel bad. I was like, wait a second. I should talk about that.
And Turner, we have a new set of questions specifically for you. So, what happened in 2005? Carrie Underwood won American Idol. Pluto was downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet,
Ooh.
or C, the film Borat came out?
Shoot. I don't know.
Glad I didn't get this one.
Number 3.
You can't say. You can't say that. That's what I was gonna choose, and I'm not gonna pick it. I was about to pick Pluto. I'm gonna say. Stop that! You throw me off. I'm gonna say. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna say Borat.
It was not Borat. Carrie Underwood
Dang it,
won
that was my
season
other
4
choice.
of American
Ooh.
Idol. So
Jesus, take
Marcus
the wheel.
is currently in the lead with
Oh.
11.
Uh-oh. Table's
So
Hey, come back.
we may only be in the Sweet 16 this weekend, but the finals are coming up pretty soon. And with that, it's time to take a look back at history. Each championship team is elite. I mean, they have to in order to win it all. But I want you to look at different championship winning teams from years past and pick 2 of them to face off against each other. And why would you choose those 2 championship teams?
I'm gonna go with the Michael Jordan North Carolina Tar Heels
Okay.
and the Christian Laettner Duke Blue Devils.
All righty.
We got all-time great college players, all-time sports great rivalry, battling it out in, if the championship doesn't happen this year, the first time the 2 teams would ever face in the tournament. That would be all-time. That's
Just absolutely
absolute
iconic.
iconic.
All right, Eric, Marcus.
Well, the greatest team in college basketball history was the UCLA Bruins, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And the greatest basketball player in NBA history is Michael Jordan. So why not put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Michael Jordan and see who would win? Now, I think UCLA would win because, what, they went like, 11 straight seasons going undefeated. But, yeah, I gotta go with them, too, and I take UCLA.
All right, UCLA,
Jordan in there twice.
UNC. Eric, what do you think?
I'm going to go with 2 teams that were led by one-and-done freshmen who did the ideal one-and-done scenario, which is lead your team to a championship. I'm going to take Carmelo Anthony's Syracuse against Anthony Davis's Kentucky Wildcats, and we'll
okay.
see who can win a championship.
All right, I like all of those matchups, honestly. But I'm going to have to go with the iconic matchup, MJ, Laettner, UNC, Duke. Turner, you're getting the
Jay
2
still
points.
hits the game-winning shot.
We have time for one more question. So it is official. Rob Gronkowski is retiring from the NFL. He was one of the greatest players to ever play the tight end position. His unusual combination of strength, speed, and soft hands made him a nightmare matchup for every team he faced. His only weakness, if you could call it that, was perhaps that he was injured a little too much. But with this shocking news, who do you think is the next athlete to retire that hasn't already announced or is assumed to be retiring at the end of their respective season?
I was about to say Ichiro.
Didn't he already technically retire?
I don't. Probably.
I guess the most realistic option is Vince Carter because he's 42 years old. Do I see him retiring? Probably not. I see him playing at least 2 more years. I want to see him on like the Warriors or the Rockets so he can get himself a championship. I would not live with myself if he doesn't have a championship by the end of his career. So as much as I don't want him to see go, I feel like that's the most realistic option, Vince Carter.
All right, Vince Carter, Turner, Eric.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Who's like? Well, it's not going to be Eli Manning.
Unfortunately,
Maybe he
for
should.
Giants fans. Man. Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates.
This dude
okay.
should have retired 3 years ago. The only reason he stayed in the NFL is so he could beat Tony Gonzalez in the tight end touchdown record. This guy, I mean, he should have been gone a few years ago. I love the guy. He's top 3 tight ends of all time. Speaking of tight ends, Rob Gronkowski, but he's the next to go.
All right, Antonio Gates. You got Vince Carter. Who do you think?
Yeah, and I'm gonna stick with basketball. And
Don't
it's
you
tough.
say it.
I'm gonna say
Don't
it.
you say it.
I'm
He's
gonna
gonna
say
say
it.
it.
No.
You can't play if you can't move.
He can't move. He dropped 21 points against the Warriors.
I don't care if you
He
can
dropped
make
21 points against the Warriors.
Hey,
Dirk forever.
Listen, I think Dirk Nowitzki wants to walk a little bit in his 40s, so he's almost there. Is he already there?
He's already in his 40s.
I think he wants to walk.
He's
a little
walking.
bit. So I'm gonna say.
that's what he does on the basketball court.
He's balling. He's
He-
making
listen,
shots.
listen,
2 more years.
He's nowhere close to a championship, so I'm gonna say Dirk Nowitzki can
let me ask
retire
you,
right
he needs
now.
to make
How
up
many
for Special
Mavericks
Teams.
games have you watched this year? How many?
Dude, I'm a Mavs fan for life. You know this.
Dude, he's been running up and down the floor like nobody's business.
He has nothing
He's been,
left to
he's
prove.
been doing his little
He has
strip
nothing
move
left
for
to
the
prove.
big guys. He's been draining threes.
He needs to
Okay.
mentor Kristaps Porzingis. He needs to.
Honestly, I like
he
that,
said
but I
he was
think
going
I think
to come
he.
back.
I don't think. Honestly, he might continue playing forever. Vince Carter, I have yet to see any signs of him wanting to stop. Antonio Gates, I mean, I think he's bound to retire next. So Turner, you're getting the 2 points and the win. Do we have time for FaceTime? We do not have time for FaceTime. We will do it on Facebook Live after.
Facebook already saw it.
The Facebook already did, but after the show ends. So that's all the time that we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Turner Barnes. Make sure to tune into our sister show, College Press Box, on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. And be sure to join us again next Wednesday at 9. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and Master Control, I'm Jonathan Polasic. Have a wonderful evening. All right, so we've got Turner Barnes is our champion. He has got a Facebook Live. We're on Facebook Live. He's got a FaceTime, excuse me. Turner, you want to go ahead and tell them what your FaceTime is?
All right, so we already talked about two of the people I'm going to talk about today. We talked about Dirk and we talked about Luka, and now we're about to talk about my Dallas Mavericks and Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn, Porzingod. This guy, I've done this once. If you look back at the archives, I said the Chiefs were going to be in the Super Bowl before 5 years from now, and it almost worked this year. It's going to work. So I'm rubbing off some magic on my Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, before Luka and Kristaps retire at the age of 41, just like Dirk, lifelong Mavericks, they're gonna get another championship. Dirk will be an assistant coach. He'll be in his warm-ups, ready to go in and shoot some threes if the time calls. But within the next 10 years, I know that's a big range, but we're gonna go for it. 10 years, Dallas Mavericks are gonna be hoisting the trophy again. Also, check out my podcast, shameless plug, Casual Friday on One of Those Sports.
Let's get him off of here. Let's get him off.
I wonder if I can get a little. Now we're on Facebook. If I can get a little bonus FaceTime.
Go ahead.
This break some. Well, not break some
all
news,
need to get
but
FaceTime
something for you and I.
Quickly.
Well, okay, it will be really quick.
Before they do
really
Fake
quick. So,
Black.
Jonathan, you and I are graduating this coming May. Are you graduating?
I am.
This coming May. Okay,
I am.
congratulations.
Thank you.
video.
You too.
So we just learned today who our commencement speaker is going to be, and it's going to be Michael Dell.
Okay.
Attended UT, went on to obviously start one of the most influential tech companies of all
It's
time.
Apple, right?
It's not Apple. It's actually called Dell Computers. I actually was old enough to have had one of those back in the day. So Michael Dell, icon, philanthropist, great representative for UT. He dropped out of the university and is giving the commencement address. I had just gotten my degree. I don't want to hear from a guy who dropped out.
So what I'm hearing is drop out.
Can I say
That's
something
what I'm
too?
hearing. Go ahead.
James
Why
Harden
not?
MVP.
I agree. Okay, there we go. And with that, we're
37
done.
points a game.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
We have to clean up for